need to remix to
All
this,
right.
Mo. I need to remix to that, DJ Mo.
I'm trying to find that for you. What up, it's your boy Mo Crosby. You're back. I'm back with another Star Trek Discovery discussion. I'm back with the fellas, Anthony and Patrick from Earth 2.
Hello. Excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about this episode.
Indeed.
This episode was titled for you, Patrick. You know, the title of the episode is Vaulting Ambitions, but the title of the discussion is Patrick Was Right.
Whoa, all right. So I've been thinking about that. We'll get to that in a moment.
Wait. I want you to say with the same fervor that you said that Mo was right about some trifling little thing. I need that Mo level. Patrick was right. Go ahead. Let's try it again. Take two.
Okay,
I was right.
The episode
I was
is
right.
titled,
Called it. I called it.
The title of this discussion.
And now it all makes sense. And now all the haters need to shut up. If you hate Discovery because the captain don't act like Starfleet.
Well, it's been answered. That has been shown to you and it's been answered.
But they've continually answered stuff.
Yeah. You know what? Okay, so let me address something before we get into this. The fact that in every Star Trek Discovery, post I've seen, everywhere I've seen, it's like, oh, why is it that all the fan theories are coming true and coming to pass? And I'm like,
because the fans know our stuff.
Some people,
because these mystery boxes actually have something inside of them.
So we all called something. Patrick called something. Anthony called something that we're going to discuss in this episode, and I know for a fact Anthony's really happy about that one. But we called him, and it was right. But the way they've executed everything has just been. I have to look at the execution into everything. And yes, it's like saw Game of Thrones season 7. Yeah, but the execution wasn't great. It's like, okay, well, this happened. Discovery has answered everything every question they've had in the beginning and everything the fans have called. The way they've executed it, especially with the Vogue, like last week, what I called, about myself right now, but it was perfect and it looked good. The way it was executed looked really good. What your call was just phenomenal, and the execution of it, they waited till the very last minute.
Mo, you're breaking up. Do you hear you're breaking up?
No, I don't hear him breaking up.
Okay, you're good now.
You're roboting a little bit, but it's not too bad actually on my end, and I think I'm the one recording. So,
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
so with all of that, I think it's been really good, and it looked really good. So, execution of everything they've shown us. So let's get into the episode.
Yeah.
So we pick up from last week, and where Emperor
Giorgio,
is like on the scene with a broadsword. That's not even a regular sword. That's a broadsword at this point. I'm gonna bow, and we get. I'm sorry, what's her name? Michael and Lorca are now on board a shuttle to go to Giorgio's ship.
Go to Giorgio's ship. Yep.
Yes, and so they had a scene in that moment. It's like, let me give you with the tubes, the torture chambers.
Did y'all notice the mark that was left on his neck?
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was going to be set up.
So that mark it's the same kind of scars. It's the same kind of scars. They're on his back, and it's because those scars on his back are from also being in the whatever those things are called, the torture devices. Yeah. So the scars we saw on his back earlier in the show were an indicator of those torture devices being used on him before, and then that's a new mark from using the device again. The problem is that Michael has never seen, him naked.
His back.
So this Michael's never seen him naked.
Well,
this Michael.
But what I in that scene, in that shuttle scene though, because I'm sitting there like, so your plan is to go to the heart of the empire that just casually kills like upstanding citizens and then spaces others. Yeah.
So apparently Lorca's just trying to get on the Emperor's ship.
Right, I get that. That's where I was going. Like, so I was saying it. Like again, Discovery, like they give you.
But and this is something they talked about in After Trek.
Well, hold on. I don't want you to say it before I say it. I'm going there. But it's like,
okay.
Again, they set you up to be like, this plan don't make any this plan doesn't make any sense. Why would you go there? They could just execute you right there on the floor. And then you're like, oh no, because he understands the relationship between these three people, and he knows that she's not going to have him have a quick death. She's going to have him a torturous death, and he can take it. So I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, he probably escaped somehow before, but more importantly, Lorca, I mean, the plan doesn't make a lot of sense if Michael even stepped back for a minute to think about it.
How many
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
But Lorca's so good at being in charge that everybody's just doing. He's calling shots so fast they can't keep up, and he's the captain, so they're so used to just following orders that. He's even kind of trained that in them more than a normal Starfleet vessel, right?
And with Michael, she owes him the second chance to do this. And again, if you go all the way back to him just leaving that spaceship, the shuttle ship pilot just floating out in space for no reason.
But no,
those other criminals are dead. Those other criminals are dead. He didn't stop. He didn't drop them off nowhere.
Can I ask you guys a quick question? How many Star Trek plans make a lot of sense in concept? Whenever they set a plan to go in,
but they're subverting that. So they subverted that fact that we give a little bit of freedom and allowance when we're watching our fictional Star Trek, and they subverted that because they are actually doing something that did make sense. So we were giving them freedom because we're like, oh, they're telling a really good story. At least I don't like how this serves the plot, and then it turns out, oh no, there's something going on here.
Okay, so now they're on Georgia's ship, and Georgia's like, welcome back my daughter, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, so I guess in Mirror Universe, she's she was adopted by Georgia is what they're going with, as opposed to her in our regular universe, and she's adopted by the Vulcan. So in the Mirror Universe, she's adopted by Georgia. It was kind of cool. It was kind of really cool to see that. And so, her relationship, we get to see what her relationship is like, because as soon as she comes in and they pull Lorca out, and, she's like, bow, and Lorca's like, I'm not going to bow. And, they do the thing where they pull him out, and then she's like, pick one. And I was like, at first I looked at it, I was like, what are you talking about? And then
nope, I was like, that's lobster. That's the lobster tank right there. I knew it. As soon as he said pick one, I was like, yes.
Really?
Really? I was
that
like,
got me.
Tank.
I was like, oh, she's getting like a sex slave or manservant or something.
No, because as soon as they had to set it up,
of course you would know. Because
but you know what? It could have been. I could be biased, and I just was hoping. I was hoping because I was like,
believe how much. Like, talk about giving people credit. Let's just be honest. Since the first episode of Earth 2 Comicast on Discovery, Anthony has been talking about how Saru is just emergency rations on the ship.
I'm sure Anthony saw this episode.
Not knowing that in episode 11 we would see somebody eat the emergency rations.
Look,
over fine wine.
right. And I knew as soon as they
Anthony, for real, how excited were you when you saw that?
I was because at first, this is what happens when she picked them out. It's like, you tell me you can't pick a good one yet, and I was like, oh, this is like lobster. And I was like, you know what? This is one of the things where I get my hopes up because this is what I would do in this universe. I would do it in our own universe, but when I would do in this universe, and then it confirmed, I was like, yes, I was so happy. I wanted them to comment on how good it tasted. Like, she was like, only my shit. I was like, no, talk about the subtle flavor. Because I imagine it's like rabbits. Like, rabbits on our world are meant to be prey. And I imagine it's easily digestible. It's good in your system. Probably gives you some good, like, vitamins and some good fiber, too. Like, all that goodness just in you, it's just good for your whole health. Oh my God. I think we're okay to end the cast right here because Anthony.
It's not even cannibalism, right?
No, they're different species. And you know what? You know what else? That means that on the evil Discovery or the evil Shinju, like, he is emergency rations. He is a slave, a baby.
He literally is emergency rations.
Wow.
If they ever had an episode like they had on Voyager or Next Generation where replicators go down, he is the first to go. They don't even wait till they're hungry. And he went without a fight too. They know it. They know it. It's like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They're bred to be eaten, and they're happy about. Well, they accept it. They accept it as they should. I'm good. Good night.
Only a black man could say that.
So, like, you guys are not gonna do this. I just did Lucas and Mo, so like this is a lot for me tonight.
Day off, you better bring your A game.
He's a slave that can be eaten.
Yeah, he is. He is. But then again, what is a cow? What is a horse? You got dogs. It's cool. It's cool.
All right, so they have dinner.
After she's picked
up. Also, her acting when she had to gulp down that one more mouthful after knowing what it was.
Also, in a much earlier episode, we see Lorca eating what looks to be like one of his species. It could have been lobster. But they showed on After Check, they showed a side-by-side picture, and it looks like the exact same meal.
He had to bring some with him.
I know. It's what I'm thinking.
He's been wanting to get back to get some fresh ones, some freshness. It's like if you haven't been home in a long time, you want that home fresh cooking, and I can't get it.
Yeah, I need to eat some blue crab.
Right? See, Patrick, that's all he is, and he kind of looked like a crab hit. Yeah, he's good.
So we're gonna keep talking.
But there was two things. But there's two things about the scene that we kind of skipped over. One, how she gave the look of like, I never thought I'd see you again. So I don't know if I missed it, but was it implied that she had Michael killed in a way, or she ordered Michael killed, or anything like that? Or she
it's implied that she figured out that
they were plotting.
They were plotting to get her, and that she somehow figured that out and killed Michael, Mirror Universe Michael. Because also
kept it on the down low.
They said just flat out Mirror Universe Michael's dead. And then that somehow Lorca, which that's the really interesting part. We don't know how Lorca came across. It even seems like he planned in some way to get across, right? So
I haven't watched any of the after tracks, but I think they shouldn't do stuff like that, because let's say the writers next season say, it would be cool to have.
They can still do that.
Yeah,
they can still do that.
I like how they went back to how everybody went insane on the original Defiant.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Because that's the Tholian Web episode, and really the plot of the Tholian Web episode is Enterprise is trying not to go insane like the Defiant.
Yeah.
That was.
And I just watched the Next Generation follow up to that same thing. Like that was. It was cool.
All right. So they have the dinner over fine wine, and she's like, "Here, and then she calls her out right there, and she says, "Yeah, well, now I know that you plotted against me, and guards come get her, and all that good stuff." So they come get her. And now we get back to the ISS Discovery or whatever, and we see two things happen on the ship. One, they go get Saru while they're trying to figure out what's going on with Stamets. One of the doctors. Now we know there are more doctors than the one. Oh
my gosh! You know what's going to be crazy is when Saru finds out.
Oh, that he's being eaten.
Yeah, that his whole people, because he said there's not many of them even left, right?
Right.
Because he asked her, and she lied.
I know he asked her, but I mean, depending on how long we stay, he might see it for himself.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So they come get Saru. Hey, look, something's going on with Tuvok. Tuvok on.
I'm sorry. I know I interrupted you, but you know what's really crazy? I wonder if his feelers go off when he sees her next, because she's technically his predator now. Like she's he's
she's probably gonna lick her lips when she sees the ganglia.
Once you have that goodness, you can't.
Fresh ganglia.
Fresh ganglia. He's gonna lose an arm in one episode. She'll be like, "Don't throw it away. I'll dispose of this." I got it.
Yeah, so she's gonna come grab him. Anyway, so we're done. We're on Discovery now, and so we're in sick bay. So that's the reason I said two things, because the first thing is we're trying to figure out what's going on with Stamets, and the second thing is Tuvok is going crazy. His mind is splitting, and it's killing him, or it's causing him to harm himself. He's restrained at this point. I think it's at first he was restrained for against him causing harm to the rest of the ship. Now it looked like at some point they restrained him to stop him from harming himself because he did self harm because he's trying to open himself and let trying to let somebody out.
There's literally a battle in between his psyches, as somebody predicted. We didn't show it, but they talked about it. Yeah.
Go ahead, say who predicted it. Anyways,
they know.
But they ain't show it though, so it doesn't matter. Like I don't care what you say.
That's all right. We get a different in the brain fight.
It wasn't no manifested brain fight. It was like brain fight that no one sees. Anyway,
no, but I'm saying we get a different one. Well, I mean, it's in the mycelial network, but it's also like in his head.
No, but that one looks really good. So Saru goes to and ask her, "What did you do to him?" And it's like whatever you did to him, you have to help him because he's not, he's going to end up dying, and this is going to be on you. At first, she goes, and then she says a line to him. She says, his sacrifice is what makes him a warrior, and she said something, and then he said something to her in response. Patrick.
His lines, the whole exchange between the two of them is really good. But one thing I really liked, and I think it's on the second time he comes to her. He says something like a human and a Klingon caught in the same brain. That really is war or something like that.
Right.
Which I thought was a really interesting.
Very.
Yeah, he pretty much tries to appeal to our logic of like this couldn't have been part of your plan. Like if your guys was to take over Discovery or whatever, him acting like this could not have been part of it.
Him potentially dying.
It's kind of crazy. You realize in that very first meeting that she doesn't even know that they're in a mirror universe. Like she doesn't even know all this other stuff is because she's in the brig. Like why would she know?
Which is a nice touch again.
Yeah. And she doesn't know how bad it is with him. Until he shows her on the second visit, he shows her, look, this is what he's doing to himself. And then she's like, yeah, I'm still not going to help you. And next thing, Saru, I think, was the coldest I've ever seen him be, ever. Energized. And just drops Tyler into her cell. And at that point, she's like, oh, crap. The man I'm in love with, well, the thing I'm in love with, is in my arms and is about to die. And I have to do something to either help him or to put him out of his misery. And she changes her mind at that moment. She's like, yeah, I'll do it. The second thing that happened on Discovery is the mirror universe. So last week at the end of the episode, we saw Paul Stamets meet Paul Stamets from, mirror universe Stamets. So they're both in the mycelial network.
Yep.
And, Stamets, mirror universe, Terrence Stamets is like, hey, you got to get, you're the explorer, which I thought was very interesting. So, does this mean all Mayor Stamets does is a science officer? He's not really an explorer? Because again,
Mirror Universe Stamets is what?
A soldier, because again,
No, he's a scientist. He's a scientist who was also studying the mycelial network and got trapped inside of it.
Yeah, picture a mad scientist, evil mad scientist. That's that's the vibe I got from him. But I'm guessing that he keeps some of his discoveries to himself. Because the Emperor didn't seem to want to didn't know about it, but
Lorca might have known. That might be how Lorca got across.
Right, he could, because again, Michael mentioned that Lorca had people on this very ship, and so I'm wondering if that's how Lorca got over, or like it could be a lot there.
I don't know. Yeah.
But it's so that's a powerful weapon.
Anthony Rapp said when he was acting as Mirror Universe Stamets that he just imagined what Stamets would be like if he never met Culber, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, that is. And we all knew he was playing him. Like we all knew he was playing him. But it was interesting to see that work out.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why Mayor Stamets didn't want him to go talk to Culber?
Yeah, I mean, well, for a variety of reasons. I mean, Mirror Stamets just wants to get out. He's trapped inside of the mycelial network.
One more thing is, so you remember that episode I think you called where Stamets wasn't acting himself? And we said he could have, and you, I think, said, because at the end of that episode, wasn't he stuck in the mirror when he left?
Yeah.
Do you think at that point they had switched personalities for like a quick second? Because I was seeing how Mayor Stamets was acting versus, and then
I think, they kind of tried to explain that like in the show a little bit, but it does seem like he was somehow at least grafting on some of the memories of Mirror Stamets or getting flashes of the things that Mirror Stamets was doing and that kind of thing.
For my part, I would explain it either two ways. One, a meta way is that maybe they were changing directions of what they were going to do with that at some point, because we know they've changed how the season was going to play out because now they're going to do a second season, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing is that maybe just having your mind. I was watching the episode of Next Generation yesterday where they had the same guy that got his mind elevated to expose to the timeline and dimensions and all this other stuff. He was talking the same way Stamets was. So maybe just having your mind expanded to see all those different realities just messes you up, like, or just changes your personality some.
As well it should, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so I thought another thing I wanted to talk about in this episode is all the personal moments in this episode. Like,
so that's what, talking overview of this episode a little bit, what I enjoyed about this episode is you could have done this episode with almost no budget and still pulled off pretty much everything about this episode. It was a very like intimate personal relationship.
Wait, we're gonna get to the end of it. We're not gonna finish the recap.
Okay.
No, I just want to launch off of that and say generally what I'm saying is that one of the things I thought was unique about this episode that made it feel very Star Trek is that it didn't need its budget to tell the story it was telling, which hasn't totally been true for all the episodes of Discovery.
Yeah, that's true. But they still brought that big stuff because I mean, the Emperor's ship is powered by a mini sun. like how cool is that? How cool is that their starship is powered by a miniature sun?
So Stamets have their moment for like a second, and then we leave there and we get back on the Emperor's ship, and she's brought Michael to her to come she's brought her to her tribunal or whatever, her meet, and she pulls out the sword and she says, you're about to have a quick death because I've never given anyone a quick death. So
she's about to Ned Starker.
Yeah.
Cut off the head.
And Michael says the most Star Trek James Kirk thing ever. I have proof that I'm not from this universe. It's in my pocket. I was like, if this isn't the most Star Trek line I've ever heard, because it's literally anything you've ever heard from any Star Trek captain at some point when they captured is in my pocket.
At least Giorgio is not dumb enough. Like, she makes somebody else check it out and stuff.
Yeah,
and we know she has a weapon ready to go.
And we also know that, I mean, their whole evolutionary technology leap is because there's a different universe. So they know it happens and they know they've crossed over. So I forget what was written on the back of her insignia. Like
it says Philippa Georgia. It says her name on it.
Yeah, it's her name.
Okay. So, I mean, that was cool. And then we see again, oh my gosh, Miss Yo.
And the show did a good job of establishing to me, because sometimes that stuff feels really random, but it did a good job establishing to me that even in this situation, Michael would have that badge on her because that's how much it means to her.
Yep.
But she did have it on her on the shuttle, and I think Lorca was like, "You have to remember one thing: this is not your Philippa."
Though, to be realistic, would you take anything that proves you're from a different dimension to this Emperor? I wouldn't have. I would have emptied all my pockets.
Normally, I wouldn't have, but Michael, I don't know. Would. They just really established that this thing, like, that Michael would die over it, right?
Yeah. And I like how she talked about her logic versus her feelings. Like, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I like that too, and they need to do that more. I need to see more Vulcan Michael. That would be one thing that's kind of struggled in the show. Is sometimes she just seems like a human character.
Right. But then Michelle, when she pulls out that thing, when she believes her, it kills almost everybody in the room. Oh.
And then it's like she left one person so he can clean up. She's like,
yeah, she can't be dragging the bodies out by herself.
That guy is loyal.
And she says, "Can you keep a secret?" He's like, "Yeah." I mean, duh. How would you would say no to that? No, I'm sorry, but yeah. And so in that moment while they're talking, and this is, I think, the best part of the episode. I skipped something. So now we're back on Discovery and we're in the sick bay, and L'Rell walks up to Ash, and Ash is quoting, I think, the Kalis, the prayer. I think he was quoting the prayer.
Yeah.
Right? And she
Point is she's doing surgery with magic gloves on him. Straight from
Yeah.
Runaways. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was
Yeah, I
thinking.
didn't know if I would look the gloves, but yeah.
And in my so this is where I think we're all probably gonna have something different to say on this. In my opinion, I think she killed Vogue. What do you guys
But
think?
what? So I saw you say that, but I don't know. Now, to be fair, as we know, there's a few things I hate. One is flashbacks. One is torture scenes. One is like just medical scenes in general. This basically was a torture scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was having a hard time watching what was going on. But what is it that you saw on screen that made you think that Vogue was killed?
I think it was more or less her reaction to the fact that, because it was immediately after, and he quoted the last line. Yes, he quoted it in English because I think he's come back, or he's coming back, or he's transitioning back to being pilot.
See, I think it would be more interesting. So if I'm a writer for Star Trek, it might be more interesting if there's a way that both inhabit the same body.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think they're gonna get rid of that such a story mind like that. Like even if they come back and tell us that she like I erased.
That's the kind of character that can have stories like Dax had in Deep Space Nine, right? That, like by season 5, we could still be having interesting Vogue. Ash
where you just save budget too because it's in their mind. Yeah.
But you see, the thing is, if this whole episode was predicated on the fact that two can't live in the same vicinity, why would they? Why would it would make sense that one has to die, and also it makes sense that the Klingon has to die. In my opinion.
So you're talking to people who've read Hawk comics for like 20 odd years. You could say you get rid of one personality and then hold on, you could say there's one personality, but then that personality just happens to be buried so deep in your subconscious
for sure
you just don't know it, which again, depending on how you talk about DID, like
there's almost no chance actually, now that Anthony says that like a season 3 writer who didn't even work on season 1 doesn't do something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe they didn't. Maybe she had to, reprogram the brain or reprogram the mind where Vogue is now dormant.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I could see that.
Because so let me not go as extreme as saying killing him, but just her reaction to what she did in the moment is just what led me to say, okay, Vogue is maybe again. So I could see how if you bring up the Hulk in this, you might be right, because he might not be dead. He might just be so repressed that we are not going to see him again for again maybe a couple more seasons, and he comes out again.
Can we talk about how skilled this woman is? She's a spy master that speaks multiple languages, has culturing, and also can do genetic level brain surgery.
She's also the head of an entire clan, and you don't get to be the head of a Klingon clan without knowing some stuff.
I'm just saying, I think we just found the Klingon version of Michael.
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm not mad. I'm just saying, like this is a dangerous woman. I think she's in.
I can agree with that. I think she is. I think she is an equal in many ways to Michael, and I think that actually could be interesting as we go on.
She could be like a foil. Like actually, she is a foil.
Yeah,
if you look at everything about it, to Michael, and so I think, and we've only gotten a taste of her. So
there's so much that I just can't wait until we're like in season 3 or 4 where we're just like really set in Discovery. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, but anyway, go ahead, Mo. I've distracted you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I wanted to. I did want to have that conversation because I wanted to understand it more on a personal level. But we have that personal moment right there. That is a very, very touching moment for me. And then we had the moment with Stamets and Culber, which, oh my God, was so beautiful. And it's like, he's telling them, I saw him kill you, and I held you, and I couldn't do anything about it because. And do you understand what it feels like?
Yeah, that was crazy that he could even see what was going on.
Yeah, like you're talking to the love of your life, and it's like do anything to help you at the point of where I felt that one in my heart.
Also, like you get the Stamets doesn't like people, and he's not autistic, but you get that he doesn't like people, and that this person he likes, and when he does that thing about I just want things to go back the way they were, or something like that, or stay the same. I think he said, like that was a good moment, and we kind of knew all that was coming, but like it was still good to see. I was really kind of out of it when I didn't know what Stamets woke up. Like I almost thought Stamets woke himself up in the Terran universe in the other guy's body. That's where I thought that was going for a second. Then I was like, oh, okay.
So saying Stamets is not on the Discovery in
No, yeah, Mirror Universe Stamets I think is in his own lab.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think
because he
I'm sorry.
woke
I
up-
thought
yes,
I
yes,
meant that he woke up on.
I think Mirror Universe Stamets wakes up in his own lab, and then we have regular Stamets waking up on the Discovery.
Right. What I meant, the way they framed the way they edited is when he woke up.
You thought Stamets.
I thought our Stamets was in Terran Stamets' body. That's what it looked like for a second. I was like,
Got
oh
it.
crap.
Because
and also the fungal network is all dead, and I'm wondering if that's going to connect with Mirror Universe Stamets, because maybe he still has the fungal network they need.
And apparently he's the one that infected it or started to kill it. And this also might answer a question about how come we're in Next Generation Deep Space Nine time and we don't see any of this stuff.
Yeah, because if the whole network is destroyed, then there's no way to jump between universes through that.
Which is really the one thing that we've been kind of wrong on, at least so far. Maybe it's just what we were hoping. They haven't really made any alludes to Section 31 in a long time.
They have not. They have not.
Yeah, it was the very first episode with the Black Badges and nothing else after that. Was it the whole network, or was it just their little forest of spores?
Well, it was in the network, and then he came back to the thing, and he said it's gotten to our network too. It's spread to ours, the ones they've been cultivating. So they're all. So if you think everything's all connected,
it's all connected,
right? So it doesn't matter what dimension, time, whatever. All spores are infected or has a chance of being affected.
Yep.
So that Telebrite thing, I bet you we see that again.
All right, and so that's what happens with this one, and then we get back.
They do have spores, right, in containment, because they have all those vials
in the containers. Yeah.
So it might be that they only. I mean, the show could be like, this is how much we get to jump, and then they can't use it willy nilly. Like it's almost like their fuel to try and get back home.
Could be.
Yeah, yeah. So we're back on the Emperor ship, and we are in the torture chamber, and one of the guards comes in, or one of the officers come in and says to Lorca, I know what you did. No, which was kind of.
He's arguing about his sister. He's like,
yeah,
you.
Point, I'm like, so is Patrick right or is Patrick not right? Because again, Lorca, this is why I said the reveal. Yes,
I was just waiting for him to say his sister's name. I was just waiting.
This is why the reveal to me.
That means he didn't say it on purpose.
He waited to the last.
He does it. He does not say it on purpose. He is enjoying the taunting. He is both taunting that man and he's taunting us as an audience simultaneously. That's dark.
And got his follower killed.
Yep.
In a brutal way.
Hey, brutal. Like this dude has no affection for anyone but himself. Like I'm convinced. Like this.
I will also say this. This Discovery has actually showed us destructive power of the weapons in the Star Trek universe. Like we always hear about it, but you rarely have seen them in the other stories. Okay. Like I think the darkest one we've ever seen has been Next Generation. We saw in the conspiracy one.
They like blow up that whatever that crazy species is or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that was graphic.
Yeah, so his friend pops right in front of him.
Everybody always jokes that like Star Wars and all these other sci-fi universes would totally own Star Trek. I think the Terran universe is kind of showing us that if they actually brought themselves into a military force, Star Trek would be pretty powerful.
I think it all depends. Well, I guess it's a different discussion for a different time. But like, I have a lot of things for that.
Yeah.
Let's contain this one, please. And so he waits to the very last minute, and then so what makes it even better is now they're going back and forth between what Georgia and
very perfect directing and editing. I hate when they have a moment like that and they don't. It's badly edited, and I thought this was really well edited. The beats were just right.
yes, we're going back and forth with everything he's told her, everything Georgia said, everything Georgia is saying versus everything he's told Michael, and it just starts
Even
to
all of
click.
her memories, recalling everything, it was
Yes,
just
and
very well edited.
Oh
and
yeah, when she made the reveal about how, oh, you're sensitive to light, and she was like, yeah, that's our one genetic
one
difference,
thing, yes, and she's
and
like, oh my
and
god,
and that also
a
makes more
moment,
sense for all the other series where we've seen the mirror universes, why their bridges are so dark. Why?
yes,
Because even I don't even understand Voyager's mirror universe, but even Voyager's mirror universe, because it shouldn't be Voyager shouldn't happen with how the Terran timeline goes, but whatever. If
but
I'm remembering it right.
at that point when she says, I'm, we're all light sensitive, I think my head just kind of like split in two, and my
But that
brain
explains,
came out
instead of just the motif being this ship is
dark.
dark,
Oh, it's just
and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
kind of
this,
annoying actually on Deep Space Nine.
yeah, because everything's so dark, and if you look at it now, it all makes sense. They're all
perfectly.
Riddicks. We've been calling Luke a
It could
Riddick, the
even be.
captain.
I mean, we don't know, but if let's say that Earth becomes a war machine, it could be that if they become this war machine, they pollute their planet so much that Earth just doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
See the sun very often, and then you evolve a little further, and now bright lights are a problem.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so my head, like I said, my head split open. My brain came out, split open. The little brain inside of my brain came out. Yeah, it was like my mind was blown. But
It was a well done. It was the correct way
it
to do
was
a reveal.
it
It
was
was the
so
correct way to
done.
do a
It
reveal.
was done so well. And then Stamets, I'm sorry, not Stamets. Lorca comes out and Lorca goes, he fakes it in his heart, like he just fakes something. And of course, I was like, yeah, he's not dead. But even in that moment, when I still
Way
questioned,
better, by the way, than Game of Thrones is like R plus L equals J.
seriously, seriously,
Mm,
yes, it was
mm.
way better
No,
than
they like dangle that over you for like 2 episodes, and everybody already knows
and
the
boom,
answer, and it's
yeah, it was not.
I have points to that. I see your points. I
Again, if you go back in that season, I
the
think
way they edited
Stamets,
between her. You have a character who's figuring out what's going on at the same time that the reveal is happening, and you're giving just enough flashbacks to the character who's
No,
figuring
no,
out what's going
I
on.
appreciate that technique. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
You know what? I will give it to you. The way they did in the show, yes. I get what you're saying. No debate. Continue.
all right, great, that was good. That was good. No debate. And then Lorca faces death, and the guy's like, "You better not die." I mean, he kills the dude, and then he stands over him in the most ominous way. This is at this point now it's clicked 100% with Michael, and then they just cut to Lorca standing over this dude and saying his sister's name. I liked her, but I liked someone. I was just like, "You bastard!" I
It
wanted
And
to
then
jump. I
yeah.
wanted to jump in the TV and kill him myself. I was like,
I,
I actually
I was
really
not ready
wanted
for the episode to end in that moment. I needed like more.
more. Like,
I
and
was like,
Well,
and
Michael
you know
makes
how?
a deal. Michael makes a deal. Did we get to
Oh yeah,
that?
yeah, that's right.
yeah,
That's
Michael
makes like
saying
the
she'll give them the spore technology is very.
death.
I don't know what Michael is thinking there. So
He's not trying to die.
But it also
because
makes
the
a
last thing they need is like the Terran Empire invading their universe.
Yeah,
right, which the
right.
Terran Empire would do. Uh,
Absolutely.
um, so this is really interesting when you put it into the timeline of this, because we know in a 1 to 2 years, Spock in this universe interacts with Kirk from the regular universe, and then
Right.
comes back and takes over this empire. So I'm really interested
And
to see
there's a
where we left
chance
off.
that we don't know how this is going to end, but Lorca could be the person that Spock overthrows, not Giorgio.
Right.
It could be, and we've been having, again, this has been good writing, because we had a captain that we thought was suffering from PTSD, or
And
that
I
could,
wanted to be his number one. You guys understand that?
yeah, we know, and we kept saying why.
He would not come back for you.
No,
He
he
would
wouldn't.
not come back for you.
Now I know for a fact that he would watch me if I was his disciple on my knees, like, hey, just say her name.
It also explains I've really been confused by his kind of creepiness about Michael. Because at first I thought, well, he just sees Michael. I mean, we can go back and you can listen to old casts where I'm like, he just sees Michael's potential and like her value. But there was always almost like a romantic tension to it that was a really weird and creepy. And now you're like, oh, That's why they were like lovers.
Yeah, and it's kind of like he's at a different level of the relationship than she's at. Clearly, she's looking for a father figure, which makes sense. When she said that was a great breakdown.
Right.
And
That's a
again,
great
and it
breakdown
makes
right
sense.
there.
Little things he said, like, "Hey, make sure she bring her back." And somebody's like, "Yeah, no, I'll bring the ship back. I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the ship. I'm talking about her." And he's like, "Oh, okay. You know, we're kind of flirting right now, right?" It's like,
Yeah, it just was so well done, and like I didn't, it was so
and,
done
and that's
that
why I'm not mad that like we figured parts of it out beforehand. So for me, a good twist means I can go back and rewatch stuff before the twist and everything aligns and makes sense and fits. And Discovery pulled that off.
But do you even know? You know what's even better is you don't even have to go back and watch anything because they give it all to you. They cut it. They cut this episode at the end of this episode so well that anytime she
You're
says
real
something,
quiet, Mo, by the way.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. It does it so well that at every point when it cuts off and it trails off into another, it cuts off and it gives, she says something and it cuts off into an episode or two episodes or back to the beginning of the season where he said something that we all should have paid attention to, and we didn't. But now it's like, oh, that meant something. Oh, so this meant something, and then it kind of weaves together in a perfect.
Yeah. The big one is him. We knew that he's the one who initiated the jump, and him saying time to go home when he initiates that jump. Like, duh. Of course that's what he knew where he was sending them. We knew he knew where he was sending them. And he literally says, all right, we're going home. He basically spelled it out for us on screen in those moments.
One more thing before I want to talk about the promo, and I want to talk about what I saw, or something that stood out to me in the promo. Was, again, you remember when I said Saru was like really cold in this episode, but the thing where he dropped Tyler in Laurel's arms? He said something in the promo coming up. He's like, "This ship is not Lorca's anymore; it is ours." Like, so it's finally clicked to them. So they found out. I don't know how.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out in the episode that, it's.
So who's going to be captain? That's the question.
Shouldn't
is it really a question? Is it really a question?
Shouldn't it automatically?
Sure. I think it's a question.
No, I'm joking with you.
I don't think it's a question though.
You think it would be Michael? She doesn't even have any rank.
That's what I'm saying. It should automatically fall to number one.
So I think it'll depend. I think it'll depend on. No. Listen.
Let them talk. Let them talk. Don't make it.
Okay.
So I think it depends on what they're gonna do with this. And I don't know. I know nothing about the future storylines of this. If they do not get home in this season and they stay in the mirror universe for a while, I could see Michael having some rank here. I don't know what that could be. I like that they're giving it to emergency ration. Food has been stepping up. I don't know if you guys have noticed, he's been acting more command-like.
Yeah,
and earning.
Jonathan Frakes said in After Trek that he actually acted like Picard in this episode, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, so I think that it's really interesting to see how his personality has been on the weaker side, and like how did you get this command? Like, how did you get these pips? To actually showing you that his style can be different, but still deserve his command. So I'd be interested in watching him in the chair. But again, we don't know what's going on, and I also have a fear. So you know how Lost was only supposed to be 2 seasons. Like, they had a story set up for 2 seasons, and then they got really popular, and the network was like, "Oh, well, write another season, stretch it out, do all this other stuff." And the writers even said, like, "Yeah, we had enough story for 2 seasons, and now we just kind of put things in, and we don't have any control when they stop in this or not." I feel like
I definitely have a counter argument to this, but I want to hear you out first.
I feel like, and I have no proof to this. It's a fear that this, after rewatching the first seasons of the other Star Treks recently, this is the tightest first season we've had. Now, again, it's not 26 episodes; it's only 12 or whatever. But this is the tightest flowing Star Trek that we've had, and I felt like there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. and that's the reason why you kill all these characters that you set up. Even though now you can bring them back because of the mirror universe, but like I don't want that to get lost. I don't want what we just experienced to get lost.
So I don't think there's any way it becomes lost, and here's why. Number one, Lost, the premise of the show, like literally the thing that is holding the binding the show together is the mystery box, right? What is going on, right? That's not the binding element of this show. And so much better, the binding element of this show is a spaceship that can go places and explore things, which on Lost, you're literally stuck on an island. Here, you basically have not just this universe, but any universe. Even like Lorca says, first of all, every drop away line in this show has been purposeful. Like, let's be honest, there's not been a line in this show that didn't serve a purpose. And one drop away line in the show is that with the spore drive, they can jump space, like they can jump between dimensions and time. So the fact that that exists means that if they, I think what they can do is they can basically do storylines for half seasons. So the first half of a season can be like a little mini series, and the second half of a season can be another mini series, and the next first half of a season can be a mini series. And so what we get is these kind of like 8-episode, 9-episode long stories that still give us the episodic feel that we love about Star Trek with exploration, but with more time to explore the narrative. Because one of the problems with Star Trek, because you only have 45 minutes to explore the narrative, you gotta move real quick, right? We may have more hours of Mirror Universe, maybe not, but by the end of this season, we'll have more hours of Mirror Universe in this show than all of the rest of Star Trek combined. And that's only because of the format of the show.
Well, I think that's true even up to, well, maybe you're right, by the end of the season. But yeah, and I get that. I get what you're saying. There's stuff to explore, and again, we only really have 4 mainstays in this show at this point.
So where would you like, just imagine, where would you like them to go and what would you like them to do in the universe of Star Trek, and they can do that?
I kind of, and I get it. This is working. I have a lot of faith in what the writers are doing now. The thing that concerns me is they had a plan to do anthology, and now because it's got popular, they're saying let's continue this on.
But I think they are still doing an anthology.
But you're saying it's an anthology with the same crew, kind of like a Sliders type of thing.
That's what I think they're doing.
Where to me, I'm seeing the benefits now of just having a season in this universe that deals with these characters, because every character, every crew doesn't need a 7-year mission. You know what I mean? Every crew doesn't need that.
And it would be amazing to see this format post Voyager, right?
Right. And it's kind of, but interesting what you just said there is that, because the thing I was going to talk about when we did our season ending review was, I don't want another prequel show. I want no more prequel shows in the Star Trek universe. Like, I need to go beyond, was it Nemesis? Was Nemesis the last TNG movie?
I think so, yeah, because I think Voyager's backed by Nemesis. I barely remember Nemesis, even though I I actually started watching Nemesis, being like, I don't think I ever watched this. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, because it's not good. But we need to go forward. We need to go forward in the storyline and forward in this universe.
But question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, I was ranting. So,
how much of a prequel show is Discovery? Like, let's be honest. Like, Enterprise is a true prequel show, but how much of a
this is a prequel show.
It's definitely. It didn't seem that way at the beginning, which is why everybody was getting angry. And now they've connected it so much with the tissue of other shows and things that happen in other Star Treks. It's definitely a prequel show.
They're even explaining some things that I always wondered. How do the Federation have two different rivals that have cloaking technology and they don't? And we've seen that they have trouble even detecting it, and they've managed to keep their territory. Because we're seeing they're having issues with it now, and we're like, oh, maybe they'll fit out a pattern. We know the Romulans gave them heck during the Romulan Earth War. So like, Romulan Federation War. So like, but they're explaining that, like, and seeing this, like, it's a cool premise, and I'm glad. But I need to see, the Star Trek is about moving forward and progression and what's the next step. That's what I'm used to, or that's what I look to it for. I don't need any more prequels.
You brought up a point that's really.
I need exploration.
Right.
You brought up a point about bringing characters back. So in the promo, they showed the
Security
security
card,
officer.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you caught her in the promo, so it may have been a thing where, oh yeah, we killed her, but like people kind of connected with her in her short time, that it might be something they.
Yeah, you could almost go into a Doctor Who kind of thing. Now, I don't really watch Doctor Who, but
I
basically
do.
you could have a thing where they're jumping between universes and they pick some crew don't make it and new crew are added, right? And so you're kind of rotating through who is on the ship as they jump around.
So like one ship playing timelines where, oh, we're in this period now. Oh, there's a
Yeah, exactly.
Tasha Yar.
That's
You
kind
you
of like
died, but do you want to come with us?
that's
Right.
kind of like what I kind of do want to see, for this show or moving forward, is like jumping timelines and like playing with different, I want to see playing with different universes, because like I'm really enjoying everything that's happening in this mirror universe so much, so that I think I put in the chat like, hey, when this is done, let's go back and look through all the mirror stuff, and let's talk about those, and let's try to compare and see which it's looking like this might be the more superior one, but I still say we go back and look through and see what's going on. But anyways, I think this is our show, right?
Right.
Overall, just overall review of the episode for everybody.
I mean, we have just raved it. I think it is. I don't want to say this word again, or this sentence. This is the best episode I've seen so far. But it looks like that might
There's
be
one thing I want to
something.
say that is a big failure at Discovery, but it's no fault of its own. It's just kind of a shame the way this world works. And that is, if you're a big Star Trek fan, to really buy into this show, you have to watch 11 episodes. And I know there's a lot of people who just weren't willing to give it those 11 episodes and fell off because they're like, this isn't my Star Trek. I
And
think
to
that's
pay
just a
for it.
shame.
And to pay
Yeah.
for it. So you had to pay for it. You had to
Yep.
I know
If this
people
show
that
was
are.
not on CBS All Access, I think it would be getting way more hype. Way more hype.
But
I guarantee it.
a counter argument for this is, okay. So
Because you can see it because it's on Netflix overseas, and it's
yes,
way bigger overseas than it is in the US, it seems like. Like
but
in groups and stuff, there's way more overseas people part of the groups than Americans in many ways.
But in the U.S., Game of Thrones is off the air, so that's Sunday's #1 show, and then you have with Game of Thrones off, you have, I think, The Walking Dead as Sunday's one.
Which is taking a serious drop. Walking Dead's taking a
Yes.
serious drop.
But
So there was a main contender.
but can I say something? This show has been #1 since its debut, because again, it's been going against The Walking Dead. It's been #1 since its debut on Sundays, and this is again a service you have to pay for. It's a weekly show. It's not a binge
For
show.
people watching it,
No, he's right. It's had
It-
really high
it-
ratings. Like it's
had-
actually had high viewership. Like it like beat
great
out
numbers.
Stranger Things 2 and stuff like that for ratings and stuff, which is
Yes.
ridiculous. But
Yes.
imagine, so consider that, and then imagine if it's just like on regular TV or on Netflix or
If-
something, how much
if-
bigger
if-
it would be.
So, two things where I say I'm glad it's not on Netflix, because if it was on Netflix, you'd watch this thing in one sitting and be done with it.
That's fair. That's fair.
You would not have the appreciation you have for the show.
Except maybe, I mean, they could say we won't give it to you unless you do it this way. Like, I don't know. But my point, it really is that it's hard. This is one of those situations where you have this show where you have to convince people it's really good, but you're going to have to give it 11 hours before you see just how good it is.
so again, we're making the Game of Thrones. We're making a Game of Thrones comparison. Like, think about this. It's kind of like the Lord of the Rings thing. You got the masses to watch Lord of the Rings. You got the masses to watch Game of Thrones. Back where this was considered like, oh, this is geek and Dungeons and Dragon type stuff. You got people from all shades and ethnicities, all backgrounds, all level of geekness and non-geekness into a show about dragons and magic and all the other stuff, right?
Mhm.
I think Discovery could have done that if it was more accessible, because
I agree.
and again, we get it. They wanted to have these movie quality effects, and
You
as far as I can tell,
you pay $10.99 for HBO a month, or $9.99.
We're not disagreeing with you. Like, we pay for it, but you have to be honest. You know that it would just have had a bigger cultural impact if it was on a more general platform. That's all.
if you
That's all
don't
we're
care
saying.
about Star Trek, you're not gonna pay for CBS
Absolutely.
to watch Star Trek, because again, you can watch the other Star Treks just on Netflix. You know what I mean? Like,
if you were already,
in fact, when this hits, like, let's say this hits Netflix in the next year or something, like, watch out. Watch what happens. Watch what happens when this, like, hits Netflix.
And I think maybe that's why they're doing the whole 2-year break. It's like, okay, so we're gonna do our break.
No, they're doing a
2-year
break.
They're doing that because it takes a lot of work to make the show.
And they didn't gamble. They didn't gamble.
They said it takes like 9 months to make each episode or something ridiculous.
But it does work out though. It works out for the show because if that two-year thing happens, 2019 when we're coming back for this, right? Or 2020?
Yeah, I don't know. It could work out, or it could be that people just move on. We'll find out. We'll find out.
When it hits Netflix, and when we have nothing to watch, I know I'm coming back for this.
CBS better put this on like Netflix or Hulu or something once it's over.
Right.
They better not keep it on CBS AA. I mean, they could keep it on CBS AA until like
season 2
next year or something like that. But no, I would put it on like a year before.
A couple months before, just drop it and let everybody just go through it, and you would just.
Or you do something like you make even that wouldn't work. But if you like did CBS AA is like free for a period of time or something. But even that, I think people just wouldn't even bother doing it. So,
well, I mean, I think it was a good idea, good choice because you get the movie quality budgets, and then you get and then you got titties on the show. So please.
All right. Well, for me.
Anyways, this episode is like the capstone of the show for me. This is right now. I feel like if I'm going to tell somebody to watch Discovery, I'm going to tell them watch till episode 11, and then if you really hate it, then give up on it. But you're going to have to hang tough until episode 11. There may just be things that you think don't make sense, and that's okay. You got to let that fly until episode 11.
I think there's enough action. I think there's enough action for the regular audience. I think there's enough of that sexual tension. I feel like there's enough intrigue there. I think the harsher critics would be people who actually know stuff about Star Trek. I think, and then there's people that got to go like, "Doesn't make any sense." Okay, now that makes sense. All right, that doesn't make any sense. 3 episodes later, like, oh, okay, I got it.
It's been amazing. It's been they've painted us as fools because every time we say something doesn't make sense, 2 episodes later, it's like they're listening to our podcasts. And
but I would say even that in our podcast before I'm gonna go, but like they have such deep cuts. Like they went back to there was holodecks and or they'll mention something here like it's not we can never say they don't know Star Trek. You know what I mean? We could never say that the writers don't know Star Trek because they have such little things in there. That it's not, again, I don't mean to go into Star Wars rant, but it's not like Star Wars where we go, we think you missed what Star Wars is about, or you don't understand that, right? Or you don't understand. No, there's no point in there where we went, all right, that doesn't make any sense, but we know they know what they're talking about, so why did they do it? I think we've been more questioning why did they make this aesthetic decision or this why did they go in this direction because this isn't what we're used to, instead of saying, oh, y'all just don't know. Like we've never been able to say that.
It's true. Right. I mean, we have said it, and then we've ended up being wrong.
No, even then, because we've always, even in episodes we've gone.
Oh yeah, and we've at least researched it. You're right.
Right, but
I love it. Well, personally, I love it. I'm all in for it, and
I look forward because now I feel like we're in an open field. I have, other than the fact that I know Lorca is trying to take the throne, I have no idea what happens from here on out. So I'm kind of excited to watch these last 4 episodes or whatever of this season because I don't know what's going to happen next at this point.
Oh, what did you think about the Constitution class redesign?
I thought it was pretty. I mean, did you see somebody did a actual mock-up of it based on the wireframe? I mean, it looked kind of cool. It looked like a giant like phaser banks or something on its like nacelle, whatever the arms are, nacelle arms. Which is kind of crazy because it's like they took a Constitution class and just strapped big guns to it, which kind of makes sense.
I was gonna say, did you see? I think in a couple episodes ago or last episode when they showed the front of the Shenzhou, and it had guns. It was like they're literally.
Oh no, I didn't notice that. Yeah. They had big old guns on it.
Yeah, they're literally all gunships now.
I like that.
It makes sense because they're all warships. They're not science.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And it also makes sense of. Oh man, that even makes more sense. Because one of the things that Starfleet's known for is being technologically advanced, because they're all about science and research and exploration. The Terrans are technological appropriators.
Right.
They've
Pretty
taken
much.
Vulcan technology, they've taken future parallel Earth technology. The Emperor is like, well, let's take some more of this more spore
You
technology.
teach,
Yeah, give me
yeah,
that.
exactly. Teach us how to spore jump.
Because I'm a
We
person
might
of
even
honor.
leave your universe alone and just take over every other universe.
What
Question.
reason do you have? What reason do you have to question that I'm not an honorable person? Because everything here's jacked up, lady. Like everything.
No, but question. I have a question real quick. But so if is there so there is a mirror universe discovery. Can that mirror universe discovery jump? No, right?
Well, supposedly there might be a mirror universe discovery on the other end on our world.
But they
Can
don't
it
have a
trade
Stamets, so no. But when we talked
right,
about it in one of the earlier episodes, well, I talked about it. So what they're doing when
of
you do
course.
this quantum jumping thing, you're literally switching places
You're
Trading
with
transplacing
places.
yourself, yeah.
right. So they were so technically you're if you were in the same universe, what I understand how I understand it is they're switching a O to a 0 to a 1 someplace else to switch. And what they're saying now
Yeah.
is to bring Discovery over this way, they had to
Okay.
switch the Discovery
Uh-huh.
in the mirror universe to a
You see
0
over there, Patrick?
and
Yeah,
swap
yeah, go
out.
in a minute.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
so they were pretty much
I
forced to switch.
we'll see what happens, but I think that could be an interesting story. The only here's my teaser for what's ahead. I know they mentioned that in episode 13 we get to see what mirror universe Michael was like with Philippa. In other words, flashback, I'm assuming. So I think that'll be really interesting to see.
Do we get to see what mirror universe Michael was like with Lorca?
Could be. I mean,
Some
who
sexy
knows?
scenes. They're gonna get back and warship Discoveries like won the whole Klingon war. Like Klingons like, no, we don't want no more. these
We
humans,
concede.
these
We give
humans,
up.
these humans, we understand. They're vicious. They're violent. We like them. We didn't know y'all had people like
What
this. All right,
if
y'all cool with us. Y'all cool
what
with
if the
us.
reason the Klingons kind of act the way they do by the time we get to like Kirk era is because of something that Discovery, Mirror Universe Discovery has been doing in the
Oh
Klingons?
man, you know what?
It makes sense. Oh, this is what I was gonna tell y'all. So I watched the original series, the first season of the original series, right?
right.
And
Yeah.
remember there was two Klingons that got boarded the ship and they were trying to talk to Worf about how things used to be and this peace is making us weak and how humans are coming to us with this peace talk. That's not the
I
heart of the
don't.
warrior.
Tell us.
There was this whole episode where because we really didn't know much about Worf and it kind of seemed like they didn't really have Worf's character all the way thought out. But
They didn't.
the Enterprise rescues these two Klingon warriors from some battle, and you figure out that they were actually renegades because they don't believe in this Earth Klingon peace. They're not allowed to be warriors anymore. The warrior spirit, the warrior culture has gone, and they're like he talks like a preacher kind of, and he goes back to the old ways and stuff like that. And I was like, how cool! I can see that this, like, of course, they didn't have this planned out back then.
Those are
But
like the
how,
descendants of Volk right there, right? Like
right,
of that
right.
ideal.
Right. And I was like, oh my gosh, it makes so sense. And then they were talking about other Klingons were hunting them and they were like, and Worf made a plea, like, don't tie them up and execute them. Like, let them drop them on some hostile planet with a weapon in their hand so they can die on their feet. And he's like, yes, brother, like their words speak to me too. And it ignites the fire in my soul, but that's not the war we're in anymore. And I mean, and it's like, it was
That's some good
so
stuff.
right. And I was like, oh my gosh, like if you actually put you could actually plug Discovery in now. You know what I mean? Like you could.
Well, that's what we were talking about all when we go all the way back to like episode 1 and 2, our very first discussion about this. I was like, if they do this well, it'll actually make other Star Trek episodes better. It'll actually shed more light
Yes,
and make other episodes better.
because it
And I
has
think that
made
we're starting to see them pulling that off.
And so
because
again,
especially in this time period, it has made the Enterprise. For those of you who don't like Enterprise, this Terran period or this Terran window we've been in should make Enterprise make a lot more sense.
You're quiet again.
yeah, I would say people don't like Enterprise. Just go back and find the Terran episodes. Mo
Yeah, I
will
need to
post
watch
them
this.
Mo will post the episodes and the season episodes in a link somewhere. And like it doesn't even take place it doesn't even take place in the regular universe at all. It's all Terran.
It's all
It's
Terran.
2 episodes, right?
Yeah, I need to go back and watch those.
And even when it opens, you know how let me just press this for you real quick. Let me just explain this for you real quick. You know how it's said the Vulcans came to Earth and shared their technology with us?
They shot him.
Yes, in the very opening of the episode, it's like once you go through the intro, it's like boom, Terrence, like Terran the Earth, the humans are like, nah, we don't want you here. We're gonna take your technology, and it just looked so good, and it makes and especially again, if we go back to the beginning of this thing with the torture chamber, when I was super excited about the fact that they brought
it's in there,
back, and This Discovery has done so much to plug in. Discovery has done so much. What's that mean?
No, I'm just saying I gotta go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure.
Plug itself into everything Star Trek. So yes, thank you guys all for watching. It's been a pleasure. Again, comment down in the comment section below. Let us know what you think about this episode. Let us
like us on iTunes. Rate us on iTunes.
Yes, rate us on iTunes. Rate us on. Don't just rate the Lucas and Mo stuff.
Check out our website, earth2cc.com.
Check out the website, earth2cc.com. Check out Anthony's podcast. It might be coming back at some point. Draw 4.
Drunk Geek on YouTube channel, which I'm back at it, people.
Yes. So yeah, check us out.
And we got some exciting content coming back up. Mo's leading the charge on a lot of different things.
Yeah, you got some guests coming on for your comic book talk.
Yeah. So might have some guests on This Week in Comics. So check out for that. Once I get all the information out, I'm gonna put it all up on either the website or Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just check all of that for anything that you want to see. I'm gonna start getting active on our social sites again, guys.
And if y'all want us to follow something, after Discovery is off, y'all want us to plug something else in, let us know. We might be open to it. We might call you stupid, but we might do it anyway.
Yeah, tell us.
No, but seriously, because I know
we're your puppets.
Anthony's gonna be bored after Discovery, so not me. I'm not.
Anthony might be your puppet. I'm not your puppet. He ain't sticking your hand up mine.
Okay, well.
It's too bad, Michelle.
On that, this has been Mo Crosby, and you've been listening to Star Trek Discovery Discussion.